everyone, welcome to LauraGYOGA. I'm Laura, and today we're going to be working on the third eye chakra. We're moving up our chakra sequence. Bring your hands up to your third eye point. Bringing your awareness into that third eye point, we're going to open the hands out into a diamond shape with the base of the thumbs right at the center of the forehead. And the fingers open into a prism shape. And we start to do our meditation for the third eye. And we work on creating clarity when we're focusing on this chakra. In our meditation to create clarity, we imagine light coming in right into the forehead. And that light is clearing space. It's burning through all of those extra thoughts that we have bouncing around in our head. We create this space so that we can be more receptive. As we're working on the upper triangle, we definitely find a more meditative focus in our practice. It's less of a physical focus and more of a moving inward to work on the inner world that we all possess. So using this awareness of the third eye to create that space. We'll draw the hands back down into the heart and then starting to rub the hands together, creating some heat, some friction between the hands. And then as the hands start to warm up, we're going to cup them over the eyes very gently. Using the palm right over the eyebrow and the cheekbone so that you can feel the heat coming into the eyes. And just letting that heat soak in. Feeling all the muscles around the eyes relax. Letting the forehead relax, sweeping the hands down past the face, past the shoulders, letting the arms drop. And creating space in between the eyebrows. It's a place we hold a lot of tension. So with our focus for our third eye chakra, we also work on the physical location of the eyes. We hold a lot of tension in the eye muscles themselves, and in the muscles around the forehead and in the face. So we want to use our practice today to release some of that tension. We tend to get a lot of eye fatigue when we're on the computer for a long time, when we're driving for a long time, or reading. Things that we do pretty consistently during our day can tend to have a lot of effect on fatigue, and this can cause headaches and visual strain. So our breathing exercise for our third eye chakra is going to be a Nadishona breath, but we're going to use Vishnu Mudra a little bit differently. We're going to take the index and the middle finger and place it right onto the center of the forehead for that third eye chakra. And then we have the thumb closing off the right nostril or governing the right nostril, and the ring and the pinky are going to be taking care of the left nostril. So we start out by closing the right nostril, inhaling through the left, switching, closing off the left, exhaling through the right. Inhale through the right, switch sides, exhale through the left. And then we'll just keep that same pattern going. Inhale, change sides, exhale. Inhale, change sides, exhale. Keeping the breath really slow as you do that. And then we'll start to notice which side is more restricted. We usually have either one nostril or the other that feels like it's blocked a little bit more. And that's going to shift throughout the day. So in yoga we know that our left side is our yin side, that's our feminine side, and the right side is the yang side of the body, it's the masculine side. So the right side would be predominant during the day when we feel like we have energy, when we're doing things. And the left side would be predominant, maybe in the morning if you're having trouble getting going. And in the evening, we want to switch over to our yin side so that we're able to unwind and go to sleep. So we'll rest our hands down, take a break from that breath, and then just start to breathe deeply, but feeling the breath moving through the central channel in the body. So our central energy channel in yoga is called the Sushumna. It's like a tube that goes through the center of the body where energy is free to move. And it very much follows the line of chakras through the body, those main energy centers that we work with. We want to make sure that there's no blocks at any of those places. But since we're all the way up at the third eye, working in that space, when you breathe for this practice, I want you to think about breathing in through the bottom of the pelvis and visualizing that breath coming up to the third eye. And then as you exhale, letting the breath go from your third eye down to the base of the pelvis. While we're working on the third eye, visualization, using our mind as a tool to create this connection to things that we're trying to do. It's a really strong, really powerful way to make things change, to move any areas that are stuck, to work on anything that you're trying to bring into your life, something that you want to cultivate more of. You can use your visualization power, the power of your mind, to create this really strong awareness of whatever it is that you're trying to draw toward you. And of course, in our yoga practice, our breath is a constant factor. So at any point during your practice, you can visualize the breath. So press the palms together, come up to the third eye, drawing the hands there. And then we're going to start to sway the body into a circle, very small circle. This is not quite the same as what we would do for our Sufi grinds. That would be a larger, more dynamic circle. We're just closing the eyes, pressing into the third eye and swaying over the base of the hips. Letting this feel like a very automatic movement. Letting yourself get into a steady rhythm. And just keeping the breath slow and deep. Taking a few more circles this way. Slowing that circle down, coming back into center, dropping the hands down to the heart. And we'll start to rub the palms together again, building that heat, creating that friction between the hands for some warmth. And then as you build that heat, we'll cup the palms gently over the eyes, letting that warmth soak in, letting that soften the muscles around the eyes. Releasing the hands down and just noticing how you feel that softening of the muscles around the eyes, the jaw, the forehead. All of those spaces really help to take the tension away from the head and the scalp, places that we tense up that will give us a tension headache. So now we're going to start to do our eye movements. And the first one, we keep the head totally still and we're going to track the eyes all the way up toward the ceiling and all the way down toward the floor. So the eyes move as far as they can up and down without moving the head. And you're trying to find a bit of stretch at the end points. Just like we do for our major muscles during our yoga practice, we're trying to find some stretch in the eyes. we'll switch and keep the head still and move the eyes all the way to the left and all the way to the right. Making that movement as smooth as you can. You'll find certain places the eyes get a little bit jumpy, and that's where you want to slow it down and try to smooth that out. But it definitely gets easier the more that you practice this. And then we'll switch and start to circle the eyes. So we start out in the center, right up at the top of the circle, and then we start to go down and around clockwise, keeping that movement really smooth. This is where you're probably going to feel a lot of jumpiness with the eyes. And then after you go a few rounds clockwise, you can come back up to center and you'll switch to balance that out, moving the eyes counterclockwise. Back into center, rubbing the palms together, warming up the hands, and then cupping them over the eyes. As you exhale, release any tension around the face, around the eyes and the forehead. And then we'll move into our practice to work on the third eye. We'll come over into child's pose. One of the things that we do to work on this area, it's not a place in the body that we can really stretch a lot. So what we do is find different places where we can put pressure onto the third eye. And one of those poses is child's pose. We can rest the forehead down onto the mat, or we can stack the hands or stack the fists on top of each other and let the forehead rest on that so that we have this pressure into our third eye point. And then as you close your eyes and soften down into the pose, just let your awareness settle into that spot. We'll take our inhale, come up through table, and start to bring yourself down onto the belly. And we'll come into full prostration, just stretching the body all the way out, getting a good opening, reaching fingers and toes away from each other, and then letting the forehead rest down onto the mat. Bringing that awareness to the third eye point. This is a very humble position to put the body into, stretching yourself all the way flat against the earth. We'll take our inhale, come up through table, make your way back into child's pose, settling the third eye down to the earth. Coming back up through sitting. And then rolling the hips up into downward facing dog. And just pedaling the feet a bit to let yourself soften into your down dog. We'll take the right shin up toward the top of the mat. We're moving into pigeon pose so that we can follow that same principle, walking yourself forward, bringing the forehead down toward the mat, resting the third eye onto the earth. And if you can't quite reach with your forehead, you can always stack the hands or stack the palms. When I come into this pose with my forehead down onto the ground, I like to think of this as a way of letting go of all those thoughts that are swirling around in the head, of letting go of everything that you're worrying about, just kind of letting it drop toward the earth. And then letting yourself rest into that open space that you create. We'll start to make our way back up, walking up out of your pigeon pose, stepping the right leg back into down dog. Taking a breath in between and then drawing the left shin up toward the top of the mat, getting comfortable in pigeon. And then we start to walk ourselves down and just coming down as low as you can. And if you need to, giving your head something to rest on, either the hands or the fists. breath down here, seeing what you have to let go of. And then we'll start to bring ourselves back up, walking out of your pigeon, curling back toes underneath, and stepping back into downward facing dog. We'll bring both feet right up in between the hands, going through forward bend and then rolling up into standing. And then we'll turn to the side of the mat. And we're going to do our balancing pose. So when we're working on the third eye, we're definitely focused on our drishti, which is the way that we use our vision to concentrate, to focus the mind. When we fix our eyes on one focal point, it helps us to become steadier. So we'll take the left leg over the right and then cross the right arm over the left to come into eagle. You might be able to twist the palms together one more time. And eagle is a challenging pose for your drishti because the hands are right in front of the face. So some people that really throws their balance off. You want to try to move your gaze just past your arms so that you can look out about 8 to 10 feet in front of you. And then if you feel steady, you can wrap the bottom foot around and hug the calf so that you're in the full expression of your eagle pose. And then just finding that steadiness, sinking some weight down into your hips, reaching up through your fingertips so there's a balance of grounding and lifting. And then opening, sweeping out into that flying eagle, coming back into mountain pose. And we'll take our eagle on the other side, sending your right leg over, bringing your arms out in front, crossing the left arm on top, and then wrapping the arms together. Opening up through the fingertips. Use your exhale to sink some weight down into the hips. And then if you feel steady, you can wrap that bottom foot around to come into the full expression of eagle. Finding your drishti point, fixing the eyes out beyond your arms. And letting that focus with your vision create this clarity in your mind. Our balance becomes a lot more challenging when the mind is in a state where thoughts are bouncing around, where we're distracted mentally. Balancing is much more difficult on those days. When we have that peace and that inner clarity, we're able to find our balance more quickly. We're able to keep it for a longer period. We'll fan ourselves out, open out into that soaring eagle, and then come back into your mountain pose. Bring your focus up to your third eye as you close your eyes. We'll bring the hands up to the third eye and then up to the ceiling, back down to the third eye, and then start to bow down into your forward bend. Release the hands down. We'll start to bring ourselves down onto the mat into child's pose. Forehead resting on the mat, or you can stack the hands if you need them. Just making sure that the head can relax. And then we'll scoop through, slide the chest right in between the arms, lengthen yourself out onto your belly, walk the hands out front, and settle the forehead down onto the mat, coming into full prostration, flattening yourself out against the earth. Walking yourself back, pressing up through table. You can scoop back and then settle into child's pose. Forehead resting against the mat. Come up into sitting. Draw the hands together into prayer. We'll draw them into the third eye. Settling your awareness onto the third eye. And feeling if there's more space, more clarity in the mind. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for our third eye practice.